admiring too.
And finally, the last singles match of the day, because obviously Damien was gripped by the doubles. But Cerundolo versus Fognini, which was a bit of a demolition job by Cerundolo. Fognini just didn't show up today. Love and 3. It was, it wasn't something that was, going to be a thriller. If Fognini would have to really turn up. But Cerundolo's the leading win maker on the ATP Tour this year. So, he's in great form, and I think Fognini just wasn't at the match today, at the races.
Yeah, nothing to say here really. There's one informed player here, and this even in the 3 names that we see on the screen, there's one informed player. And it's Franz Cerundolo, the future top 10 player, the future ATP 1000 winner. Not necessarily here, but if he beats Carlos, then the opportunities will be presenting itself to him, themselves to him even this week. This was just like a bit of a no match, but we expected that, I suppose. This year for Fognini is absolutely horrible so far, and he's physically he also seems pretty out of shape. So nothing more to say really, other than the fact that Cerundolo Alcaraz, now that is a cracking second round. That's what I like. Carlos only won ATP, only one Monte Carlo match before in his career, so it just adds to the intrigue. And Cerundolo is the most informed player on the tour at the moment. Also pushed him in Indian Wells, so yes, bring it on. It should be, I would like it to be in 20 minutes, right after the stream, but unfortunately we'll have to wait.
Damien's definitely got that one in the book. No Medvedev, no Zverev, no Berrettini, only Cerundolo. That's all he's got time for. Brenner.
Yeah, I already raved about it a little bit yesterday on the ATP Weekly show, but you just get 2 guys who, to me, are just such well-rounded tennis players. Obviously, I love Cerundolo's game. Today it just kind of looked like a hitting clinic for him, with Fognini not really posing much of a threat. You kind of wish that Fognini would kind of get up for this match, having played, some memorable matches here in Monte Carlo, but just wasn't the case. So we're getting exactly what we wanted, and I just say I'm super excited. As is Damien. It's going to be a thriller.
My name is Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca George, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom. Yeah.
My name is Zainab Sammaz, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jan Faria, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Yes.
Take one. Well done.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paulini, and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one time.
Ready? Play.
Hello, Talking Tennis team. How are we? Tom Grant here, making a bigger return to the Talking Tennis channel. A return such has not been seen since Jesus of Nazareth, all the way back when. But yes, I am here. The cracking second round match we've got, which has just started, and that is Francisco Cerundolo versus Carlos Alcaraz. It's going to be a tricky tie for Carlitos, who will go into this one the favourite, but as you might have heard Damien say at the top of the stream on the pre-record, Cerundolo is arguably the form player on the tour. He's actually bidding to, if he beats Carlos here, he'll have won the most matches in 2025. He's tied with Felix Auger-Aliassime and Alex de Minaur with 17 so far this year. So the match has just started. As I say, it's going to be an absolute topper, my prediction, and we will see. I will take you through this over the next hour and a half, 2 hours or so, and we will have the score up for you soon. But as I speak, I'm a little behind, I think, on the action. But as I speak, Cerundolo has just served out the first game of the match to 15. So, as always, as I say, I've not been on the stream for a while, but just I don't claim to be an expert in tennis. I'm just somebody who's quite happy to go in front of the camera and talk you through the match. So, yeah, get involved. Let's interact. Let's talk. Let's engage. Bring up anything that's going on in the tennis world that you want to try and have a debate, a discussion about, and I'll keep you updated with the action as it happens. So 3 minutes in, they've just swapped ends. Producer John has kindly put up the score eventually. I think he's at a challenger in Madrid, so thanks, John. Hope you enjoy the sun. He's wearing a nice cap there, and yeah. So let's get into this one. As I said to you, a very intriguing match here at the Court Rainier, the third in Monte Carlo. Carlos Alcaraz has never actually won here, but that's because he hasn't played, of course, in 2024 and 2023 due to injury. Did play in 2022 and lost in a 3-setter to Seb Korda. So yeah. And good point by City Remade. They want some live commentary because you can't watch the match. So I will certainly try and do as much of that as I can to keep you involved. If you're, driving or walking or whatever you're doing, I will certainly take you through as much of the points as I can. There will be some people who are watching the points, and it's taken Ghost all of 3 minutes to comment on my new look as of yesterday. I'm going for the Aussie look, the g'day mate. Is that an Australian accent? But yes, I am sporting a hipsterish, is that a hipsterish handlebar mustache? Said to John previously, I'm going for my 70s porn star phase. So it's all in look though, all in look, no action. So yeah, onto the tennis, shall we? City Remade, I will try and talk you through the next couple of points then. We're at 15-all on the Alcaraz serve. His first match on the clay, of course, this year. Usually he does like to play in South America. If you remember, it was where he actually got injured on his ankle last year when he rolled it against Nico. Was it against Nico Jarry? Might not have been. I remember a Nico Jarry match, so maybe that's where my memories get conflicted. But yeah, he opted not to play that. He went to Rotterdam instead. Of course, won that event in the indoor hard court. And it's just me now. John's disappeared and it's just me. So you've just got my pretty face. Let me try and fix that for you soon.
Why has it just got that? Anyway, we'll sort that in a second, but I will take you through. Let me sort the order of this. Oh, that's a bit too small, isn't it? Right. So I think I'm going to try and find a screen share of the score then for you guys. So Carlos Alcaraz, 30-15 now on his serve. I'll take you through the next couple of points, and then I will sort the because he's an old man, Ghost. Because he's an old man. It's what he tells me. I never thought I was looking like a 70s porn star, but John, it was John that said it. So Carlos Alcaraz just hit a pretty wayward forehand. Of course, as I said to you, I think the key factor in this match is that Carlos hasn't played in clay this year. Cerundolo, in fact, is bidding to be only the second man on tour this year to win 10 plus matches on clay, joining Seb Baez, who's won 12. So this will be his 10th win if he can beat Carlos. So, as I say, very tricky tie. Did push him hard in Indian Wells, did Cerundolo, where Carlos won in 2, but 7-6 in the second. But Carlos puts away a smash there after good defensive work by Cerundolo, but Carlos had come into the net and put away, and he punches the air there, 40-30, and he'd be keen to get this game wrapped up nice and early. John's back, I think, trying to sort the scoreboard. I was going to do it at the next changeover, John. Carlos Alcaraz serving to level up the first match, 40-30. Gets his first serve in. Nice length on it. He's in charge of the rally here. Puts a forehand into the court, and a looping defensive ball by Cerundolo has it going long, and it's 1-1. So, as I say, we've got a good few of you on the stream. Don't be quiet. Interact. Let us know. I think we're going to be joined by Brenner at some point in the afternoon, of course, from the ATP Weekly. So, we can chat whatever you guys tell us to chat. It's your platform as well. So, anything you want to chat about, let us know. But less said about the moustache, please, the better. 1-0. Cerundolo, as I say, he's been the on-form player. He's spent a lot of his time on the clay this year, getting to the final, of course, in Buenos Aires, where he lost that match against Fonseca in February. I remember watching that one. Went to the clay again in Rio, lost to Alexander Miller, quarter-final there. Went to the semi-finals in Chile, and then he's won his first round match here. So Cerundolo has played a lot of tennis on the clay, where this is Carlos's first. Of course, he is the French Open champion, and we're now in the clay court swing with all roads leading to Paris. So that's why I think Cerundolo's got a good chance here. And as mentioned, Indian Wells, the hard court, he gave Carlos a tough time, and Carlos has been a little bit out of form, hasn't he? You know, the Miami defeat to Goffin came from nowhere. David Goffin came from nowhere, really. Like, you know, he'd reached the semi-final against Draper the week before in Indian Wells. But he's putting a bit of pressure on the Cerundolo serve at the moment. 15-0, puts away a winner, forehand winner. And he looks up for it. I know he's had to answer quite a lot of questions regarding his form. He said pre-match that he is happy with where his game is at. Are you, if you're a Carlos fan, are you happy with the 2025 season so far? What does he need to maybe change about his game? He's not been the world number one for a long, long time, because, you know, Yannick Sinner and now Zverev ahead of him. Is he? I know we all know the Sinner situation, so we can't really comment on where Sinner's at and when he comes back. But, you know, is Carlos, you know, maybe leaving a little bit behind? Should he be further from where he has been? You know, we all expected this guy who's going to dominate the tour. That's Brenner telling me that he'll be on in 10 minutes. So, as Carlos, you know, I'm a big Carlos fan. I always like the young prodigies. I was hoping for big things. And, you know, he's a man who's won 4 Grand Slams. So he's only, 21, 22. Usually his birthday's in Madrid, isn't it? So I think that'll be him, 22, 23? Am I losing my years? So I could just tell you, stop being lazy. Carlos Alcaraz overview. Yeah, he's 21. So he'll be 22 on the 5th of May. So next month, less than a month away from his 22nd birthday. It's still unbelievable. It feels like he's been around forever. And yeah, thanks, John, for putting that one up. So Carlos, 30 all. Take you through the next couple of points. Forehand return by Carlos. I think Cerundolo's just went long there. He has. So Carlos has a break point, trying to make strides early here. You know, of course, Carlos got a bye in the first round, and he'll be hoping to try and see if he can, minimise the damage for this one, because there's a long road to win this. He's bidding for his 6th Masters 1000 title. Again, at the age of 21, you can't really say he's not done much in the game. And that's not what I'm saying, I suppose. I'm just saying, where are we with Carlos at the moment? Yes, it is. Goes, like I say, 22, still very young, isn't it? And it was really only 22 when Yannick, started to dominate as well. Carlos is going to put this away as he's played it straight to Cerundolo, who goes long, and Carlos Alcaraz has broken early in the third game of the match. The second Cerundolo service game, Carlos Alcaraz has broken serve. So I'm just going to try and grab a score for us so that we can keep up to date. Score, and then I will share. Present, share screen. Right, and then if I zoom in a little bit. How's that looking? That looking okay? That's looking all right. Okay. Right, so we're good. John's cooling, as you can see in the chat, John's currently cooling his laptop. It must be burning in that Madrid sun. So, Ghost, as always. Ghost, good to see you, mate. How have you been? I've not been on the stream for a while. Dealing with life. I'm currently not employed, so I've been sitting there trying to plot my next step in the working world. And but how's life where you are, Ghost? And anyone else on the stream? I know there's a good over 140 of you. Let us know what's going on, even if you want to chat about, I don't know, anything at all. Tend to try and keep it to tennis, but yeah, try and give it. We'll do a tenuous link to tennis, and you can talk to us about anything you want. I was in local journalism, then I was in radio broadcast journalism for the last 13 months, and that changed last month. And so I'm just trying to figure out the next step in terms of, because it is, tennis journalism, sport journalism I want to get into, and I've just been doing news for the last 3 years. So I don't want to hop in, even though there is offers on the table. I don't want to hop into news again. I might do if savings run out, but no. I want to make sure I'm making the right choice, because again, I don't want to be sitting there banging my head against the wall, thinking, right, I need to try and figure it out. So I'm just chilling. Took a week off last week. Finished up on the 28th of March. Took a week off last week. Spent a bit of time with my young boy, who's 2.5 years old. Surprisingly, Glasgow has been baked in sunshine, shall we say, over the last 10 days or so. Wee bit cloudy today, but it's supposed to pick up again tomorrow. 19 degrees in Scotland. So yeah, just been enjoying the sunshine and not jumping in too fast. But yeah, let's know how things are going with you. I'll take us through the next couple of points, because I know I am conscious that a couple of guys on the stream maybe are keen to find out what's going on in the tennis as it happens. Carlos Alcaraz has just done an absolute sublime drop drop shot off the +1. He pushed his serve wide. Cerundolo in no man's land on the courts. And that's what we love, Carlos. That's how he burst on the scene, wasn't it? In 2022-23, where you almost thought you couldn't really. How do you stop this guy, especially on the clay court, with the low bounce, with that drop shot? And he just put it to practice again. Of course, beating Nadal and Djokovic in Madrid a couple of years ago. And so, yes, Carlos knows his way around the clay court. There is no doubt about that. Of course, the current French Open champion, and he'll be hoping to do so again. But he did skip the South American clay court swing. Interesting at the time, I thought, because his record indoor, potentially is the one that he was trying to address with that Rotterdam appearance, which he went on to win, of course. Later in the year, the indoor tournaments, he's never really kind of made an impact. And so I suppose maybe that was the thinking in terms of going a different route. And so, yeah, that's where we are. We're at 30 all on the Alcaraz serve. Are we still questioning the Alcaraz serve? For me, it's always been probably one of the things that I would think he needs to mend. He doesn't win loads of points, like loads of free points on the serve, which is, can help you dominate if you can put away. And as I say, he's just set up a break point for Cerundolo by going long on the forehand. The backhand. It was a pick-up backhand, I think. So he's under a bit of pressure here just to consolidate the break he got in the previous game. So I'll talk us through this one. I know I keep saying that and then getting distracted, but I'm a gabber, as we say in this part of the world. Right, break point, Cerundolo, Alcaraz serve. Serves wide, fault. Serving into the ad court. Plays it quite low. Wasn't as much a kick serve, but the players are exchanging backhands. Now it's onto the Alcaraz forehand. Forehand by Cerundolo goes long. Quick point. Good save by Alcaraz. He was just playing safe tennis there, which maybe, again, is that what maybe Alcaraz needs to do a little bit more? I did notice that at Indian Wells, actually, it was. He didn't seem to be as taking the risky shot quickly as maybe he's been previously criticised, always going for that showboat shot. Good serve down the tee. Cerundolo's length is great, though. He puts it right on the line. We've now got a backhand by Alcaraz, which he tried to go down the line. He was on the slide, but that one goes long as well. So still a little bit of issue with the distance control from the young Spaniard. Cerundolo hoping to break back here at the first attempt. Breakpoint number 2. Hi Jane, how are you doing? Good to see you, or good to have you joining us. So the players exchanging forehands now. Forehand by Cerundolo. Alcaraz, good length of that one. Now he goes cross court with the forehand. Cerundolo backhand cross court. Alcaraz just popping it back up forehand. They're exchanging from the ad court at the moment. Now it's backhand. They've switched to a backhand battle here, and Alcaraz goes down the line. But that same shot as he set up the break point, and it's gone long again. So he hasn't got the accuracy, the length control on that backhand down the line, and Cerundolo has broken back 2-0. So it's going to be competitive, this one. When I agreed to do this match, and I had no illusions that this one was going to be a quick end. I can see it going 3, maybe Carlos sneaking it in 3. But as I said to you at the top of the stream, Cerundolo, the form player on the tour. A cracking second round match, really. Cerundolo is now serving. Alcaraz finds the net. He was trying to go for the big shot there on the backhand cross court from the ad. And we're already 20 minutes in, flown by so far, 4 games, and we've got a very, very even match up here. Cerundolo wearing his luminous yellow cap and luminous yellow shorts. Again, finds the first serve. Forehand by Cerundolo. Good return by Alcaraz. Now it's backhand up the line by Cerundolo, which Alcaraz cannot get. And got some good tennis from the Argentinian. Interesting. Here's a little interesting point that might get you debating. I was looking at the ATP website in anticipation of this match, and the headline on the main story. So the main story for the ATP website is the Berrettini win yesterday, and the headline read Berrettini comes back against Zverev for biggest win of his career, and I just thought, was it the biggest win of his career? Like, is this because of form and injury over the last couple of years? This is a guy who's reached a Wimbledon final, and of course Djokovic was fairly comfortable, I suppose, in the end, but of that final. But just wondered if the Zverev win in the early rounds of Monte Carlo. Now I know Zverev is going into this as the number one seed, so maybe by ranking it might potentially be the biggest win. But Zverev has been not much form recently. He's been out. I don't think he's made a final since Australia. I might be wrong on that. And so I'm just wondering where we're at with so ranking. Yeah, Sean, that's what I was thinking, but I think I just said it there, and I was alluding it to with Ghost's point. Maybe it's because by ranking, I suppose it's the biggest one. I just thought it was a kind of a weird headline because I never thought, wow, it was a very competitive match. It's very fairly comfortable in the first set. You were thinking Berrettini's gassed here. He's had a lot of tennis recently, and then Berrettini with using the crowd picked it back up, and it was really. Yeah, I suppose that's what it is, Sean, isn't it? I suppose maybe that's where the headline goes. But I just thought I suppose it's a good use of words. But I think any tennis fan would agree that it's probably not the actual biggest win so early. And how far can Berrettini go? Here we go. We're just getting a glimpse of Fees seeing out his match as mentioned earlier. Could Arthur Fees? Oh. I think he's tried to launch a ball at the end there. The way the players smack a ball into the crowd on the completion of a match, especially if they've won. And I think it's maybe shanked it off the racket because he looked a bit worried there. Imagine he was to get defaulted for smacking a spectator whilst trying to celebrate the win. But he did look a little bit sheepish. But safely through to the third round. Nuno Borges, I think he's beat Pedro Martinez, has he? Yes, he has. Yeah, okay. So we've got 160 of you guys. Let us know anything else that's going on in the game. I will try and keep us up to date with exactly what's going on the other courts. You guys are usually better at that than me. Andrei Rublev beating Gael Monfils at the moment, 6-4. Did anyone else think maybe Monfils could pick off Rublev there? I don't think Rublev's won a Masters title a Masters match, a Masters 1000 match since Cincinnati. So when Cincinnati? Is that August, September, October maybe? Rublev been in absolutely zero form. Gael Monfils, of course, with the French crowd. You were thinking Gael Monfils. Of course, Rublev working with Marat Safin now. Interesting matchup there. So, yeah, absolutely. I did have Gael Monfils as maybe seen that one, but Rublev, of course, is very, very good on the clay. So we've got Carlo. Why can I never say Carlos Alcaraz? I'll just say Carlos, right? Carlos now. 30-15 up, 2-3 down on his serve at the moment. And Cerundolo loves the clay. And Carlos again tries to go for that backhand down the line. It hasn't worked. It's how he got broken in his last game. And he's went this time he's went wide with it. So maybe a change of tactics. He tried to go for it fairly early in the rally. And we're now at 30 all. Return quality here, we're saying that in this match so far, Cerundolo's 9.4 return quality, which is up from his 7.1 52-week average. So Cerundolo obviously fancies this match. He knows he's got a good chance here. Carlos, has some early exits. Carlos with the second serve. Backhand, cross court, forehand by Cerundolo. It seems to be Cerundolo is the one who's dictating this rally, and Carlos goes long as a result. And he's in trouble here, Carlos. He is in trouble. There is no doubt about it. He said before match he was happy where his game is, but he's under a bit of pressure. He's facing another break point. Cerundolo to go 4-2. Early warning signs for the young Spaniard. Good first serve, but Cerundolo, good return. Carlos takes a chance. He started coming into the net at the wrong time. Bad timing. Strange decision to come into the net here. By the way, Cerundolo has just broken, but strange decision by Carlitos to come into the net. He put the ball was played at his feet, to be fair, and he did get a racket to it, but it was just that he wasn't. Usually, you see players coming in to the net when their starting point is the baseline from the middle of the court, but Carlitos was not at the centre of the court. He was out wide left. So yeah, it's 4-2. Cerundolo, who was a breakdown, has now turned it around. Won the last 3 games, including 2 on the Alcaraz serve. And yeah, as I say, warning signs for Carlos. Although he's got love 15 on the. Well, let's introduce Brenner first, Ghost, and then we'll try that one. I'll add Brenner whenever he's ready to rock. He can give me a thumbs up. It's good to go. Okay. Hello, Brenner. How we doing, mate?
I'm good. How are we doing?
I'm all right. I'm all right. As you can tell, clearly a big, thick Scottish accent. So just tell me to slow down if you need to. But we'll say hello very, very soon. But I just wondered, have you been watching this one so far, Carlos? A bit of warning sign here.
Yeah, I have been watching it, and a bit of a warning sign. I'll just say this is what I wish people could have seen last year at the French Open, where Cerundolo was, I guess, a breakup in the 5th versus Djokovic, and was on his way, and who knows what could have happened from there. But such a well-rounded player, natural clay courter, has so much effortless power in him. The forehand can pop, and he can play with so much variety and hang from the baseline with anyone on this surface. So match is far from over, but obviously this is the type of tennis that Cerundolo can play.
Yeah, and I was just saying there that the graphic on the screen was talking about his return being like 9.1
right,
compared to his 52-week average of 7.1. So he's obviously up for this match. He definitely believes that given the fact that he has won the most, joint with Felix and Alex de Minaur, the most matches on tour so far. He's bidding for his 10th win on the clay, which is a key factor because this is Carlos's first match on the clay this year. Mm-hmm. I thought that was an interesting one. I was saying at the start of the stream, Carlos previous years. It might relate to the fact that this is only his second time in Monte Carlo, and he's never won in Monte Carlo. The Seb Korda match in 2022. But interesting decision, I suppose, at the start of the year to not go to South America for the clay season and instead go to Rotterdam, which we've all said before, Carlos doesn't really suit the indoor game, but he goes to win that. And I suppose, is that the kind of the flip side of maybe trying to address the indoor hard court concerns, is the fact that he's got no form on clay this year when he comes into the clay court swing ahead of the French Open?
Yeah, and that's a good point. As Cerundolo holds for 5-2. It's obviously easy to say because you check the box. He went down and won Rotterdam. That indoor court slowed down a lot this year. I'm not sure why. As 2024 was super, super quick. 2025 was not the same, which obviously helped him out. But yeah, it's like you said, it's different not going down for the Golden Swing and having that 2-3 week period where he's playing natural clay quarters and getting adjusted as he would be kind of as a kid as he's coming through the ranks. Obviously, this is the first year he opted not to do that. But yeah, I think, like you said, the big kicker is this is his only second match in Monte Carlo, and I think there's definitely nerves there. I think he actually traveled to train a little bit last year, but pulled out, a few days before the event because he was dealing with the forearm injury. So, I mean, he's been here and whatnot, but talk about, like, as I talked with Damien on ATP Weekly, like, this is one of the more difficult matchups you could have gotten in the second round. So, he's got his hands full today.
Yeah, I mean, Damien, I watched a part of your guys' stream from the previous night, and Damien was saying he's facing the in-form player on the tour, and yeah, so that's why I mentioned, like, Cerundolo will know only too well about the kind of circumstances around this match. He knows that in Indian Wells, although it was a 2-set victory for Carlos, he did have him worried at some points, and it took a tie break in the second set to see him off. So where are we with Carlos at the moment? 2025. I mean, I was kind of having a laugh at the start. He's been around now 3-4 years, where he's certainly been one of the main players on tour. But with 2025, it's been a little bit shaky. The David Goffin match in Miami. What do you think his goals are for the year? Is it just defend the French, defend Wimbledon? Maybe try and improve on last year's US. Like, where are we with Carlos at the moment? Because we've been bidding it as the new big two, but I don't know. I'd be keen to get your insight, Brenna.
Yeah. I mean, I think you kind of set the scene correctly in terms of, here are my 2 to 3 big goals, which are obviously, all early or late spring to, late summer type of events. And, in terms of rhythm and comfort and getting himself, into the season, I would say, like you mentioned, like the first 4 months are kind of, all right, let's get prepped, especially with Yannick out. I think at this point, like, we're all like, it didn't help anyone that he wasn't here in terms of the pressure, continuing to stack wins, win Masters of Thousands. We've had all sorts of winners this year. So it's just been an odd season in that front. But yeah, like, it's annoying in terms of when you see such a talented player and how their level just continues to fluctuate. And like you said, we ask ourselves these questions, like, what's realistic? What's something that we can expect from him, and especially in a match like this. I mean, he could be a set down already in his first match here, and are we going to see a braver Carlos go for more shots, or is it going to be tentative?
But that's the debate with Carlos, isn't it? Like, he can't win in that respect, because we've been saying for Carlos fans for years, or for the last, say, maybe 18 months, have been saying he needs to stop, like, trying to go for the box office shot, and maybe try and just maybe even be a bit more of a pusher, just keep it in the court until his opponent makes a mistake. And now we're saying, if the form's dropping, like, we've not seen any kind of showboating shots today, maybe he needs to try and take more risks. So it's a kind of catch-22 for the young guy, isn't it?
Yep. I mean, you're spot on. It's hard to, like I said, it's just hard to gauge, what type of guy we're gonna get. But yeah, this has been top class from Cerundolo.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll talk us through the next couple of points, because a couple of the guys on the stream earlier on did say that they were unable to watch you. You might be a little bit ahead, wherever you are.
Where are you?
I'm just at 30 love Cerundolo. He's about to serve.
Beautiful. Then we're on a good spot.
Okay, so Cerundolo, is that an ace? That is an ace, so not much to report there. So he's got 3 set points to take the first set, and possibly Carlos will maybe try a couple of times the backhand down the line, particularly on the ad court layer. He's not been able to find the range. He's went long twice. It's actually what gave Cerundolo the key break. Cerundolo serves it out, a non-returnable from Carlos Alcaraz. So lots for Carlos to think about. It'd be interesting, Brenner, will the players sit down for a quick break, and then We and you haven't been on the stream together before. I actually haven't been on any stream for a while. I was saying to Ghost earlier, just trying to plot my next move in journalism.
Love it.
I'm a trained journalist. I've been working in news, but it is tennis. Tennis journalism or sport journalism, but particularly tennis, that is the route that I'm wanting to go down. But what about yourself? What's your background? I mean, I know you do ATP Weekly with Damien. I've listened to you guys a few times. You're a guy that I know is full of knowledge. So just where are you anyway?
Yeah, I'm outside of Boston. Right now.
Cool.
I grew up here. Been to school. I've been in New England like my whole life. Just graduated from college last year, so I'm plotting my next move, as they say.
That's what we all say. That's what we say.
Right.
When, as I said to Ghost, I took a week off last week, so I finished my job on the 28th of March. I took a week off to just enjoy. We actually do get sunshine here in Glasgow, Scotland, so so it was a nice week last week, and then but everyone's going, right, when are you going to start applying for jobs and whatnot? And I'm like, right, well, I've had a week off.
I'm in. I hear you. Yeah, I mean, I'm in that process now, just figuring it out. But I'm actually, I tell people, listen, sometimes they're surprised. I'm fairly new to the sport in terms of following it on a daily basis. It's been about 2.5 years now. And
listen, it's a sport that anyone, like I'm constantly, so obviously you will call it soccer, but I will call it football. That's the big sport here in the UK and Scotland. And I'm constantly at war with my pals saying football's rubbish these days. Get into tennis, it's got so much going for it. And I'm slowly but surely getting more and more of my pals going, watching the tennis tonight or a Sunday night, maybe watching the final. So that's the start. But I'm the same. I mean, I've always kind of had an eye on tennis as I've grown up. But I find that for me now at this stage of my life, like in terms of soccer, I find tennis more engaging and there's more drama in it. I find football has got very, very methodical football. Like, the richest teams are 99% of the time they're going to win the football match. You see less shocks these days because it's just
who's your team
over. Well, in Scotland, there's a team called Falkirk. Now you've probably never heard of them. They're set to win their league, and then if they win this league this year, they'll be in the same league as like Rangers and Celtic.
Wow!
Yeah.
Wow. So funny enough, I was a soccer player my whole life. I played
good,
in
mate.
University.
Yes, good.
So I only grew up playing tennis kind of in the summer, and then I really stopped at like 15, but loved to play recreationally. It was actually when I studied abroad in Rome, and that's when I kind of started getting into tennis more.
Did you ever go to the event there?
I did. Yeah. I went a couple.
Is it as good as they say? Because they say that's one of the kind of favorite one on the tour.
It's beautiful. It's at the Foro Italico, which is the Olympic Center. So you got Stadio Olimpico there, where Roma and Lazio play. Obviously, went to see a bunch of their games, but it's just iconic, So
Good,
I
man.
got to I watched some practice sessions, and then I watched Murray versus Fonini center court night match.
Oh, was that the one where they had a big? Oh, that was a pretty epic match, was it not?
Yeah. 3-setter. Mohammed was the chair, and
what happened? Was there some controversy or something?
Yeah, there's some bad calls, and the crowd was into it. So
that wasn't the match though that like Andy was telling Fonini to shut up, was it? There was a match between the two.
That might have.
He was telling him to shut up because he kept just talking, and he just was like, "Shut up."
Yeah, I know there was a lot of emotions.
Good.
Yeah, that's my story.
Lovely. Well, the second set's underway. Carlos had made a fast start there, and taken the first 2 points, but Cerundolo has pegged him back a little bit again. I was saying, Brenner, in terms of you say for 2.5 years, but you've been the perfect time for Carlos Alcaraz, so I'm sure you've watched a ton of his matches.
I know.
I was earlier on, for me, one key point, I think he just went long there. He has just went long there again, and he looks over to his box, exasperated, shall we say, because he set up another break point, unforced error-wise, that he just can't find his range at the moment. He's always going for that line and missing it by about 2 or 3 inches. So we'll see how this serve goes. But I was saying the Carlos serve for me is the one that doesn't seem to be being addressed, because for me, if you want to be dominating the tour, you need to have that serve that's going to maybe get you maybe 10 points, 10 free points a match.
No, you're spot on.
There we go.
That
Good
was
tennis.
a crazy volley. Oh my.
Yeah. I mean, a couple of years ago when he's winning Madrid and he's beating Djokovic and he's beating Nadal, he'd almost like invented this form of tennis where he's going to hit you with the massive forehands and backhands to at the back of the court, and then he's going to drop shot you and you're going to be nowhere near the ball. Don't seem to be seeing that as much, but again, it's his first match in clay. He's obviously been unaccustomed to doing it so much on the hard. So it's just a case of, I don't know, like, I'm not saying that Carlos wouldn't mind losing this match because he wants to he's playing his way into form. But I think with the amount of clay court tennis that's on offer over the next 3 months or the next 2 months, these guys will dust themselves down and then, just go, right, okay, I'm on to Madrid, I'm on to Rome. And sometimes these guys just get one run where they win the event and then that's them good to go. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. I have a few points. We'll talk after this break point here.
Yeah. Oof, absolute nothing serve there from, I think it hit the top of his racket when he was on the ball toss. So he's got a second serve, Cerundolo, second break point. Carlos finds the serve box this time. He goes with a +1, massive +1 forehand, but Cerundolo defensive work, but it does go wide.
Yeah.
Another save, another fist pump for Carlos. There might be no way back if it was to be a set and a breakdown. But yeah, sorry, Brennan, what were you going to say?
Yeah, go ahead. I'll first say, as I was entering the sport, Carlos was untouchable, and it felt like no one really could even, hang with him. And yeah, as you said, I feel like people at least have a better understanding, and that level was kind of out of this world. But I also just want to give credit to Franz Cerundolo, because he's, at the end of this clay season, I hope people understand it by now. This guy, can hang with anyone, like I said. So, we'll see what happens here. But regardless, we're looking at, I think, maybe 2 of the top 5 clay quarters on tour. So, we'll see what we can make of this result.
Yeah, I said this has got 3 setter all over it, and Carlos sees out that game. Good serve, good forehand, and Cerundolo can just defensive into the net. Like you say, Cerundolo, he's an interesting player because I remember him, it was about 18 months ago. He was just winning matches all the time. He was always in the latter stages of whatever event I was watching, and then he seemed to dip a little bit, and he seemed to be kind of forcing his way back in. But yeah, like you say, I can't disagree that the fact that could this guy, say he was to beat Carlos, could you see him, beating any other challenge on the way? Like, is this
I would. When I talk about, I don't know, I don't want to forget anyone and feel exposed, but you think clay quarters, you think Casper Ruud, you think Tsitsipas, and you think Djokovic. We'll go with those 5, including Carlos and Cerundolo. So. It's like that. And I think the serve is obviously, I know a lot of people in the chat are talking about it. The serve is, it's interesting, especially when you come to clay. Like for Cerundolo, it's been, the weakest point of his game for probably his short career in that sense. And Carlos, that's something that, he's continuing to tweak, but it's just such a difficult, I'd say, shot weapon to improve on, especially when, like, in tennis we don't have a long off season, and Carlos is, he's getting appearance fees, like for Rotterdam, for example, like he's got to play events, and he's been pretty open about how he wants to stick to that motion that they worked in the off season. But when times get a little tighter, things get tougher, your habitual actions kind of come out, and that's that's why I think it's been difficult for him, because obviously there's not much technical differences in the motion, but yeah, in terms of muscle memory, habitual action, it's just like hard to continue to repeat. But if you want to talk us through this point, Tom, we got Love 30
Absolutely.
here.
Absolutely, I will do. So we've got Love 30. Carlos, we'll be hoping to obviously break here, but he's got a good return on the second serve. Cerundolo, he comes into the net. Cerundolo. Carlos has got a defensive one back. Has he made that? Yes, Carlos has done a forehand on the run, cross court as Cerundolo came into the net. And Carlos, hoping to up the ante a little bit here, maybe try and feed off the crowd, who I'm sure they'll be favouring him as most do wherever he goes in the world. Do you want to tell City Remade, who, what's your views, Brennan, on his body language? I know he's pumped up right now at the moment in time, but when he was facing those break points and he was putting the ball long, he did look a little bit kind of fed up.
No, totally. I mean, he's such a high level player. He expects things to go his way.
So he's got the second
more
serve.
often than not.
He's on the second serve, Cerundolo. So they're exchanging backhands, cross court from the Adol. Cerundolo goes up the line now. It's met by the forehand of Carlos Alcaraz. He goes for the big shot, and that's the one we spoke about. He was going for the big shot, forehand down the line from the juice court, found the net, and that's it all over. That he makes that. It's a couple inches higher. We're talking about, wow, it'll be on the ATP Twitter page tonight with Carlos and fire emojis. Unfortunately, it doesn't. And then you've got people saying, why are you hitting that shot? He was well in the rally. But anyway, we go on. So backhand, he's went for this big backhand. He's came into the net, a backhand defensive lob by Cerundolo, which catches the line. So we're now just back to rallying, although Carlos was in charge of the rally until Cerundolo goes long. And Carlos Alcaraz has broken early in the second set, just as he did in the first. He broke in game 2 of the first, and game 3 of the first, and it's now game 2 of the second. Can he consolidate? Well, that's the main. As I always say, there's no point in breaking serve if you can't consolidate it in the next game. So Carlos Alcaraz will be hoping to take a 3-love lead into this one. So there you go, City Made. Definitely more up for it now. He was a bit fed up as he faced those break points, but he's fought back from those break points early in the first set, and he's now made a break of his own. So
that passing shot at Love 30, that was high level. I think that flipped a little bit of a switch, and then him going for it at Love 40, exactly what you want to see. Exactly for me.
And it's the fact that in that Love 40 point, he's well in charge of the rally. He's pushed good winner, another winner there. Again, took his time there. Cerundolo would come into the net, and he puts a backhand down the line. Now it was just a kind of flicked backhand, shall we say, rather than him going for an all-out power shot. But yeah, I suppose to not panic when Cerundolo's hit that ball onto the line from the lob, the defensive lob.
That was crazy. Backhand looks really good though. That's it seems like he's hitting it with a lot of confidence.
Yeah, and he likes because Cerundolo's thrown him a lot of kind of looping balls. That's a lovely drop shot by Cerundolo.
Amazing touch.
Just dabs it over the net while Carlos is at the back. Just as Carlos was starting to find his range. But yeah, I think Cerundolo's tactic here, which is quite evident, is just trying to give him a little bit more loop on the ball, because Carlos will just use the pace if otherwise. So Carlos is having to deal. He's a small guy, Carlos. Like, he's not the biggest in the tree. So he's dealing with a lot of looping balls from Cerundolo, who's trying to disrupt his rhythm, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what Franny can do. He can play with a lot of variety. Most times, also coming from the hard court, hasn't done a lot of that. He's more just going pound for pound from the baseline. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just the ability is on full display. And with Carlos, yes, you have to mix it up. You have to try things, and we'll see how it progresses. But a double opening.
Yeah, a double fault by Carlos, as Brenna was just chatting there. Has got 15-30 up on the scoreboard, and it's now 15-40 because a backhand, as he scratches his head in queryment and what is going on. So it's 15-40. So once again, we're back to Cerundolo, just as we were in the first set, a chance to break back immediately. 15-40. He's got 2 digs at it. Carlo, he catches the line with his serve. It is a good first serve. He goes for a big, powerful forehand +1, and Cerundolo can only find the net on that return. So he has another chance. We're at 30-40, but big moments here in this match.
Yeah, I mean, I think about Franz returning on the ad side hasn't been too good, especially when Carlos was saving those break points. So let's see.
It's quite a fast-paced match.
Yeah.
We're 50 minutes in, and we're already approaching maybe potentially, a quarter to halfway of the second set. So the players aren't hanging about. Did you watch the guy? I don't know if it might have been too early for you, Brenner, but the Gasquet Daniel.
I did not. Yeah, I was sleeping. Tell me about it. It was crazy.
Carlos has just found on the
that
break
was a crazy backhand.
On the break point. He's tried it about 3 or 4 times. He hasn't found it all match, but to have the cojones, shall we say, to go for it, break point down. So just to talk you through, it's been a cross-court back out by Cerundolo in the corner of the court. Carlos finds the corner of the court, and he's leveled it up to deuce. So no, Gasquet didn't win. He fought valiantly. Is that how you say it?
Mm-hmm.
And he was a set down. Alcaraz was actually serving for it in the second set, 6-4, 5-4, and Gasquet fought back, won the set 7-5, and then just ran out of steam. So fair play to him. 23 years he's played at Monte Carlo. I think John had put up a good tweet that iPhones didn't exist when he won his first match at Monte Carlo, and neither did Carlos Alcaraz, which I thought was a good quip. So Carlos playing well, playing better definitely now, and he's 2-love up on the second set. He's 7 to make it 3. It's in, and a great backhand by Cerundolo, and again Carlos scratching the head and going, what do I need to do to see this game out? So we're back to deuce.
I will give a quick update. Monfils breaks Rublev at 4-all and will serve for the second set.
I was talking about this one just 2 minutes before you came on the stream, Brenner. I thought that was a shoe-in for a Gael Monfils, and I wouldn't like to say upset, but with Rublev, hasn't won a Masters 1000 match since Cincinnati, which is kind of mind-boggling to think about. Do you know what I mean? So I just thought this is the perfect one for Monfils. But then I was surprised to see that Rublev had taken the first set. Do you think that's the Safin effect?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was most excited about, kind of just to see Rublev's body language, his attitude, his approach. That's kind of what I've been most looking forward to, because Safin was, I guess, not that we really knew it, but was the guy who was, willing to help Andre out with the mental health.
Absolutely.
And that's important. So
do you know what the key thing for that is? And I'm of a vintage, Brenner, where I can remember Marat Safin playing. And Carlos has just done, and he's in the zone here, by the way, because he's just done an absolute. He's done 2 of them,
back to back.
2 of them in a row. The drop shots that he became so famed for a few years ago, as he pretty much railroaded over every single person he met on the clay. So so he's definitely in this zone. He leads 3-love as they sit down for the break. But yeah, I'm of a vintage where I can remember Marat Safin playing tennis, and he always just seemed like the most chilled, laid back guy in the world. So So I don't know if that's a key thing about it, but
no, it's fun. I mean, I want to mention, because we're talking about Carlos's first match on clay, and just seeing those drop shots again, where he's literally 2 feet behind the baseline and dropping a ball right over with the angle. It's just I can't imagine what we're gonna see in a month or two. It's just
no, totally
the rhythm, variety, timing of it all.
It's the best it's the best thing to see. Like when he's playing, I always look forward to that when watching him on a clay court, because then the action just turns into total chaos. Like if the player gets the drop shot, then it's like as he lobbed them, and then it's just they're the best points. And Certainly the ones that cause the most drama. So, and also see when he wins the point from that, you're just like too good. And the fact that he gets it like inches over the net just to drop dead.
It's insane. Yeah,
Just to answer Ghost, I'm assuming he was so laid back because he was a satisfied customer, Ghost. That's pretty much all I'll say. So Monfils, has he taken that second set?
He's going to have 2 set points here.
2 set points. I'm seeing Thomas Mahatch is also 3-1 up on Alex de Minaur. That's a good matchup, that one, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, battle of 2 really good backhands. I was talking about yesterday. I don't Demon just such a competitor, so you never know. Clay probably being his least effective surface, but he's the Demon. He can get it done, and the backhand can work. I think I was talking about it. These guys' forehands are a little questionable to me, and that'll be interesting to see. But I'll just keep tabs on that match for sure.
Absolutely, you can be the guy who's watching events elsewhere, and I'll. Interesting that no Jakub Menchik, of course, the kind of player everyone's talking about. He pulled out of the Monte Carlo, I suppose, because of his run to the final, which he didn't expect. And of course, I mean, I don't know. Well, I'm not saying it's not true, but I don't know. Did you see the story about the fact that he'd actually went to the referee's room to withdraw from the event and then goes on to win it?
That was the craziest story. I mean,
I know.
It's like
that's crazy.
We didn't even know that the whole tournament too, which is even more interesting. I mean, I guess he just started feeling better and was like, "All right, I'm here." So,
Hi,
what a
Jake,
story.
mate. How are you doing? Yes, Tom's back with a tash. So, and you enjoy that first beer, Jake. 4 days off. God, I can only imagine what Nick you'll be in day 3, watching all the sport that's on. So, good to see you, Jake, mate. What's happening? And I see John had wrote that that Rublev has saved the set points, has he?
Yeah, and now he's got a break point.
Wow. Well, interestingly enough, just as we talk about beers and tash, Carlos's 2 breaks up. He's 4-love, as you can see by the scoreboard. I must have missed that. It must have been a break to love, was it? Yeah,
it was break to love. Yeah, that's the one thing I'll talk about with Cerundolo. It's just as you talked about, like the dips are
major.
Major, and they're fairly kind of consistent throughout. That they come up periodically through matches. I'd say like this is a different level of a match in terms of the quality on the other side of the net, and talk about how successful he's been.
I'd be interested to see the graphic. The one they usually put up where like the last 15 points.
Yeah.
Like how many Carlos has won because he's 15-love up here.
Right. And Jake, spot on. Hasn't had much of a middle ground. His peaks are so high, but can get down on himself, erratic. And even in I guess the only match that he's been so good this year, but even in that Buenos Aires final against Fonseca, he had chances. He even, broke to stay in the match and, hands it off again. It's just like the serving doesn't have enough on it to really back it. And he's just going to beat you in rallies. That's kind of how he's going to pave his way through matches. So
he's a talented boy, no doubt about it. And this is his favourite surface. As I said at the start of the stream, only Sebastian Baez has won 12 matches on clay this year. And he's bidden just to join him as the second player to have won at least 10 on the clay court this surface. So that just shows you how much he's played on the clay. And but we look like we're going to a third set. Just seeing a little bit of the Tennis Insights, which is the new kind of addition this season. And Alcaraz's backhand quality in set 1 was 5.8 according to the Insights. It's now 8.4. So definitely upped his level. Playing with a bit, and that's what tennis is all about. It's all about momentum. He's got it right now. He's 40-15 up, 2 points away from a 5-love lead before the sit down.
There it is, Tom. They're about to show it. In terms of the last 26 points.
Yeah. Carlos has won 20 of them. So, dominating now. And sometimes, Cerundolo will just be going, right, let's just get to the third set. I'll save my energy.
Mhm.
Oh, another drop shot at it. You know, like you were just saying, Brenner, you know when he's feeling it, when he's feeling like he's in the mood when he starts pulling out the drop shots more often.
Right. Right.
So I did have an attempt there for City remade. Just caught the top of the tape, didn't make it over, and so it's 40-30.
Yeah, I mean, Tom, you also mentioned how this match is flying. Like with these guys, I was expecting to see, more 20, 25 ball rallies, but the patience level I just like maybe when it's Carlos on the other side, patience level just varies.
Yeah.
Carlos is wanting to dictate, get on top of the rally and finish points quicker. Haven't seen too many kind of marathon rallies. But now we're at deuce.
A bit of a wayward forehand there when he had the whole court to aim for. He tries to go for that one, which is just so close to the line, maybe rein it in a little bit. That server has looked out, but we are on automatic line calling here for the first time in Monte Carlo, so it must have been in. I've seen a couple of the players questioning them again because we're on the clay and they're maybe not used to it. I saw Berrettini a couple of times. Not able to compute. But yeah, like you say, we're an hour into the match. We're coming to the end of set 2. Carlos sees us out, then we're a game away from the third set. So it's flown by. We're only an hour in. Let's see what happens. Carlos serving out on the second serve. Goes for the +1. No problem at all. We are 5-love Carlos Alcaraz. We are surely heading into a decider. And have the legs gone from Cerundolo, with all the tennis that he's played on clay? I don't know. I doubt it very much because who did he beat in the first round? You'll know this, Brenner.
Fonini, 6-0, 6-3. Yeah, it wasn't a match.
So it wasn't too much of a slog then.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys coming from Miami, took the week off, didn't need to play a lead-up event. I will mention Andre Rublev has his second break point here. It's been a little bit of a deuce battle between Monfils and Rublev as Monfils is aiming to serve out the set, but he double faults.
He's not going to be a happy boy about that.
Wow.
Hopefully he's still got a tennis racket at the end of that. Let me ask you then. I never thought I wasn't. I know Zverev is successful in the clay. But I wasn't instantly subscribing to this as Zverev's tournament because he's the number 1 seed. So we've got it's pretty open now that Zverev's out. We've of course got Djokovic here, and he faces a tricky tie against Tabio. Have you got your eye on anyone? I don't know if you chatted with this the other night, but have you got somebody who you think's the clear favourite, or is it quite close to call?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about how stacked that top half of the draw is and how, messy it could get up there. And this was before the Berrettini-Zverev match, but even after, I mean, I like Musetti a lot, especially in this location on this surface. I feel like conditions are perfect for him.
Faces Berrettini next, countryman Berrettini next.
Yeah. I mean, he's kind of gotten, not away with it, but yeah, in a sense, the first 2 matches here, having dropped the first set. But yeah, I mean, you can't forget about Tsitsipas as well. And that's, this is kind of his tournament. And Djokovic kind of has that opportunity to cruise his way. But, you don't want to forget about Dimitrov as well, who always, or maybe is looking for another battle with Djokovic after kind of getting smoked in Miami. Didn't have the legs by any means, but comes to maybe a more comfortable situation. But then you look at the bottom half and it's okay, whoever's going to get through this match is going to be a tough test. And then, Casper Ruud, of course, this is his favorite surface and his chance to start making his way back. And, Jack Draper, him on clay, obviously still very much a work in progress, but, that'll be something exciting to watch too. So I think those are the 5-6 guys that I have in mind.
Yeah, I couldn't agree. I mean, and I don't want to bang this drum as always because I think the majority of tennis fans, and I might be wrong on this, I might be being very controversial, but I like this event because it's a week long. So by Sunday, I'll know who the winner is. I don't have to try and figure out when the final will be as I sit here on a Wednesday afternoon. So Carlos Alcaraz, by the way, 2 set points for the bagel. He was love 40, actually. He had 3 of them. He's just given one to Cerundolo. So I'll just I'll take us through this moment. See if you can see out the set. Looked like it was close to an ace, but not no cigar for Cerundolo. So he's on the second serve. Carlos just seems to be right on top of the return at the moment in time, as he is again. Backhand down the line. Cerundolo on the stretch gets it, but Carlos, massive forehand. It's going to go long. It has gone long. Carlos Alcaraz hits back in some style. 6-love to show the world that he's not ready to just disappear. He's looking for that first win in Monte Carlo. Of course, only played here once before. Seb Corda beaten 3. He's going for a third set again, and this time he'll be hoping for a different outcome.
Yeah, I think that forehand was probably 90, 95.
Wow.
I mean, that was crazy.
But he's right on top of that second serve. And, you know, if Cerundolo's first serve is broken down on him, Carlos knows that he's going to bite quickly. And, you know, I called it just before he hit that backhand down the line. Cerundolo's in trouble as soon as he hits that, as soon as that leaves his racket, isn't it?
Yep. And I also talk about just that pattern of play for Carlos. That's something he's been working on probably for the last year. The inside in backhand on the deuce side, and if he's able to obviously beat his opponent to the spot, then he knows he's going to get kind of a loopy middle of the court return where he has time to run around it, and you know your opponent's kind of screwed. You can just drill the forehand cross court down the line.
Do you expect a bit more fight from Cerundolo, or do you think maybe Carlos has worked him out at the moment? But you often see this, you know, one set will be like one-sided, and then, you know, the player in question will go, right, you know, I need to buck up my ideas here, and you see a much closer decider, don't you?
Totally. I mean, yeah, I just think about how important that hold for Carlos was in the third game.
Of course.
He was
in fact,
15-40.
was it the third game? Yeah. Yeah, right. He was break point. In fact, did he not face break points in the first game?
Yeah, I think he did. That's because I was talking about it. There was some poor returning from Cerundolo on those break points. But I think it should be definitely more of a contest. But I always think like those first 3-4 games are very important, especially for Cerundolo. You know, kind of kill the momentum, get yourself, you know, back on terms. I will update. Rublev does hold for 6-5, so Monfils will be serving to stay in the match here.
And how is and can you tell us all, because it looks like Monfils has maybe chucked away his chance there, hopefully not, but what's this? I'm watching a billion matches, but not this one. But that second set scoreline did 20 for the fans' body. John, I will beat you down when we meet in a tennis court in Germany one day, mate. I will beat you down. I'm a player these days, right?
Yes, sir.
So what's happening in the sea in Bonn? Yeah, and I'll get my boots back. I'll beat you in those boots. So sorry, inside joke between John and I.
Love it.
So, right, yeah, sorry, I keep interrupting you. What about the Thomas Mahatch and Alex de Minaur?
Yeah, fairly straightforward, keeping a left eye on it. It's going to be Mahatch serving for the set at 5-3 up. And yeah, as I mentioned, Monfils serving to serve in the match.
We're at crunch time in 2 of the matches this afternoon with Rublev and Monfils in the second set, potentially either, you know, going to be Rublev a fairly, you know, might even be surprising the other way that the Rublev's managed to come through this one. That will be his first win, as I've said before, first win since Cincinnati. Thomas Mahatch is currently going to be serving for the first set against Alex de Minaur. Cerundolo and Carlos Alcaraz were into a third. We're at 15-all on the Carlos serve. Already it looks like maybe Cerundolo's maybe changed something and trying to make more of a fight of it. Elsewhere, what about the rest of this afternoon? You know, there's still plenty of tennis to sit back and enjoy. For anyone who's maybe thinking, right, I'm going to sit watch the TV and watch the tennis for the rest of the day, what match should they maybe be? I've put you on the spot a little bit, Brenner, so I'll let you maybe have a think about that, and I'll take us through the next couple of points while you do, mate. I hate to pounce a question on somebody. Yes, and well, fortunately for us all, yes, Sir Alex, and he's not a mank, by the way. Sir Alex is a good Govan boy from Glasgow, so yes, he's still very much with us. I think he won a race at Cheltenham, not him personally, but his racehorse won at Cheltenham or the Grand National recently. I was reading. Anyway, loves these horses. 15:30 Alcaraz on this. So Cerundolo, definitely. Well, I say that he just does a bit of a lackluster backhand into the net, and he's been quite vocal with his box, shall we say, gestating, not looking happy at all. He knew that he had this match in his hands. If he just saw one of those break points in this first game of the second set, he might be looking at a win at the moment. He might be back in the locker room with a triumph. But as it is, it's 30-all in the deciding set. First serve of Carlos Alcaraz goes into the net. So he's serving again, second serve. Finds it, goes down the tee. Again, Cerundolo's not going to be happy with that one because a tame backhand finds the net. So Carlos, again, just a point away from the first game of the third set. So yes, what else are we thinking of, Brenner, today? Good lineup. Good day of tennis for tennis fans.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I don't know if we're going to get too many more extremely tight matches, but I think, I mean, obviously I'm excited to see Djokovic, first match on the clay. And I was talking about a little bit yesterday in terms of a redemption spot against Sevilla, something that'll get him up for it at least. So I think we'll see a good version of Djokovic today. That'll be exciting. And obviously Casper Ruud making his clay debut. He's taking on Roberto Bautista Agut. So, he got a good win over Nakashima yesterday. Nothing too special.
Yeah.
Obviously more excited to see him play. And then Dimitrov taking on Vachereau, who is the wild card here.
Yeah, the surprise package so far.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's exciting. And then, maybe a tighter match that I am looking forward to is Poppy and Tiafoe.
Yeah, that'll be good. That'll be nice.
Poppy looking to get some form, and he got a good win over Humbert yesterday.
So, as an American who will obviously be, championing the Americans, who out of the young guns that are coming through, there's been a whole bunch of them, say, over the last 12 months. And I know Vanch in the chat is very much Brandon Nakashima because I think
he loves him. He loves him.
Yeah, but Lerner Tien as well. Who are you most excited about?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like sometimes we're a little bit one-dimensional. Obviously, Tommy Paul, I feel like, is the most kind of well-rounded player in terms of being able to play on.
He's well-liked. He's well-liked.
Well-liked. He's an awesome guy. He's someone who can play on all surfaces. Also a great grass player. Of course, I think it's hard because a lot of our younger guys. I am a big Mickelson fan as well.
Yeah.
I'll put that out there. He still is young. He's only 20. He's been on tour now for 2 years, though, which is impressive. And Lerner Tien, as well. Those are guys I'm looking forward to. The only other guy that I could think of that's in the top 100, Alexander Kovacevic.
Yeah.
He's got a one-handed backhand, big forehand. But it's a little bit hard. I mean, Colton Smith's made a quick run. We got some of the college guys coming through. They'll probably play more on the Challenger Tour. But, Colton Smith definitely has some potential. A University of Arizona player. I will update.
I've been to that university.
Yeah? Have you?
Yeah.
When was that? What were you doing over there?
2022. I was doing a reporting tour of America. So I was at DC, Minnesota, and then Phoenix, Arizona, where we had to go to a lecture at the university. And the thing is, this was in the middle of June, and it was so warm. That's all I can remember. There was nobody outside, and I was like, this place is pure quiet. And then this is like 5 pasty white kids from the UK. And then I realised soon why there was nobody out in the streets, because it was just so warm. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Phoenix, Arizona. Just when you said that, I went, oh, I have been there.
Yeah.
So did Rublev win? Somebody's asking in the chat, did Rublev win?
We are in the tie break. It is 2-2 as we speak. Definitely want to thank Jane for the tip. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm happy to talk about Rublev. I'll be honest, I'm a big fan of his game, and a guy who loves to compete, and he was a champion here just 2 years ago as I was getting into the sport. He has that ability, but
Was that Holger Rune?
Yes. It was a fun final. It went 3.
Yeah.
Obviously, definitely sad not to see Holger Rune here, but Fran Cerundolo with a huge backhand down the line to get a good hold from 15-30 and evens it up at one apiece in the third.
A bit frosty for him there, because he was 15-30 down, and Carlos was hitting a good ball, wasn't he? He was putting, as somebody in the first set who couldn't put the ball anywhere he wanted, Carlos could basically tell you what spot that ball was going to bounce at for part of that game there, and that's when you know that. I was thinking this breaks now. This is going to be a 6-6 again. But fair play, Cerundolo. He's held serve there. Really good backhand down the line, and we still have a match here. I know that probably the majority are thinking that Carlos will go on to see this out. And I said that he might sneak it in the third was my pre-match prediction. So, but yeah, as long as Cerundolo hangs in there, doesn't drop his serve, anything can happen here.
Spot on.
Hatch won the first set against Alex de Minaur.
And he just looked at a break point, but sailed to return long.
And it's looking like I can see that you've been updating us, but I'm just having a quick check. It's looking like Rublev, after game 1 feast had served for the second set. It looks like Rublev's going to have turned it around in that second one.
Yeah, 5-2. He's got two serves, so I'll talk us through it here.
Yeah, go for it.
First serve is a fault. Also got deuce in the de Minaur Mahatch match. Rublev takes a +1 backhand down the line. On fees, good return, but another rip forehand cross court. Rublev takes it, so it's 6-2. He'll have 4 match points. Yeah, you can see Carlos getting a little bit more rhythm. The footwork's firing a lot more. He's kind of dancing around that.
He's got that bounce in his step, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got that bounce, and you just know, especially it's that one where he's coming into the net and the bouncing ball, and he just manages to pick it up nice and cleanly, direct it down the line of the court on the juice court. So yeah, you can tell the body language. I mean, I think it was City Remade had asked about the body language of Carlos Alcaraz roughly about an hour ago. Wasn't good, but now he's definitely enjoying himself out there. Picks up the Cerundolo return, and the players are rallying at the moment, backhand to backhand, but Cerundolo finds the net, and it's a love hold for Carlos Alcaraz, 2-1 in the third set.
And it's just a superb breaker from Andrei Rublev as he takes it 7-2, beats Gael Monfils 6-4, 7-6, straight sets. And yeah, I mean, good win. That was never going to be easy going into the match. And his first
Masters
here in Monte Carlo. Yeah, first Masters win since Cincinnati, as you mentioned, Tom. That's been a while.
Yeah, the Marat Safin is certainly earning his dollar. And I'm sure we can say that he's had an impact on that. But good to see Andrei Rublev back winning and winning in big events. Because like you, I like Rublev. I think he's whenever you watch the kind of ATP video content, he always just seems like a kind of very humble soul and a nice guy, and maybe not the sharpest fork in the drawer, but he seems like he's a good lad. And then he goes onto the court and he just turns into it's like Jekyll and Hyde, isn't
it? Right. I know he is. He's probably one of the nicest guys on tour. So soft spoken, so friendly, respectful, and that's definitely what what draws me to him as a fan. And then, yes, it's a totally different story on court, pure aggression.
Yeah.
But a big hold from Alex de Minaur, saved a few break points there in the first game. So we were off and running there in the second set. But yeah, I mean, Rublev's not a guy that I was trying to leave out of the crop here in terms of, having an opportunity to win this tournament.
You'd be stretching it. If anyone was coming into this event to say that Rublev, and listen, I know that he's got a good record on clay and he's won this event before, and but I think if
you got Casper Ruud there, that's my only, you just got Casper Ruud, and if you don't get him, you get Carlos Alcaraz. So it's like, or just Fran Cerundolo, that's who I would assume, is on the bottom half of that semifinal. So
excellent. Well, Cerundolo again, as I said to you, hanging in there. Maybe not as dominant or as in the match as he was at the start of the match, but he does have a score on the board for this third set, of course, losing that second set 6-love. So that was a tough one for him, a tough 20-25 minutes for him, but he does seem to have come through it, although he just puts a backhand long, so we're at 15 all on his serve, and still mumbling away to his training box. Whatever he's saying, I don't think it's broadcastable, shall we say, and I don't speak Spanish anyway, so but I'm sure it's full of frustration because, as I said, he was well on top in this match. He must have known that Carlos was going to come back at some point, but maybe not in the way that he's done. And so let's see what happens in the next 10-15 minutes. They're going to be key, and as I say that, he just double faults. That's because he knows if he doesn't get that first serve in, Carlos is going to be right on top of that second serve, as he did when he broke 3 times in set 2. So danger moments again for the Argentine.
Yeah, Jane, I'll give you the shout out there. Boy. Of course, Andre Rublev's famous grunt. Jane, a big fan. So thanks for tuning in.
It's good. Okay, so what I was going to ask you then when we were talking about American tennis was, so who are you thinking, like, how far do you as an American tennis fan look into the future? You guys are desperate for this Grand Slam winner again, not had one in so long. So who are you thinking could be the guy to break that duck?
Tom,
sorry, mate. Sorry.
I struggle with this question because of course I want to say Fritz, but I just think he's a little bit, I don't know. I just maybe fear over a best of 5 match that he doesn't have it all in him. And that's why I would say I'm rather take the Tommy Paul sort of bet there. But I'll be honest, I have been a big fan of Taylor
Carlos
Fritz in these. But yeah, go ahead. I mean, just 2 back-to-back double faults, was it, from Franny there?
Yeah, to set up break points, and then it was a rally to actually get Carlos the break there. Carlos is just hitting the ball, like a fine wine, and Cerundolo is sitting there shaking his head again at his box. He's pretty much saying, "I'm out of this." He did this kind of maneuver with his hands, pretty much saying, "I'm not coming back here." So if he's given up, we might be in the end game for this one. But yeah, Carlos hitting these spots, as I've said, you can just see it gradually come. Big moment in this match, like you said, Brenner, was that early first set where he saved the 2 break points. His spirit could have went down. Cerundolo's would have been up, and we could be speaking about a very, very different match. And it just shows you how good tennis is. Again, we're talking about these minute margins, and Carlos well on top now. He's 3-1 in the third set, and it looks like this is going to be a hard-fought Carlos win. We've still got legs in this. It's a good rally at the moment, but it looks like Carlos is certainly the favourite to win this now.
Yeah, and I feel like that rally right there is kind of what I thought we would see more of in terms of, maybe Franny hanging a little bit deeper behind the baseline and picking things up and flipping the court. But I mean, you can just see in that point the movement there from Alcaraz is top notch. But he is, this is where we're at. We're in this point in the match where it's like, all right, Carlos kind of knows he's on top. He's going to win. So
does he just start going for things? Yeah.
That's what we just saw there. He's like, all right, this is the longest rally maybe of the
can't be bothered with this
match.
anymore.
Yeah, I want to finish it. And so it's just like at these times where he doesn't want to, maybe he doesn't want to win 6-0, 6-1, but he wants some highlight reel shots. And
I suppose it's difficult though. And let's just say you and I were, top level sportsmen. If you know that you've got that killer shot in your locker and that you can unleash it 9 times out of 10 whenever you want, it's very hard to hold back the reins on that one. You've got to kind of fight within yourself because you know that one flick of the arm and the point is over. I suppose at this stage he's thinking, right, I've played an hour and 20 minutes of tennis here. I've now got the break. All I need to do from now on in is win my service points and I win the match. So I suppose, he just wants it over as quickly as possible. He doesn't want to get into a battle with Cerundolo. These longer rallies might be the undoing.
Right.
So I think, if he can finish the points. I mean, Cerundolo's got a chance here, 15-30.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, you saw it even after, he sprays the forehand at Laval, and then he goes right back to a, jumping backhand drop shot that, only he can really pull off. And it's a combo that, he does so well himself.
Good combo by Carlos. Yeah. He loves that combo, the wide serve, plus one to the other end of the court. All bets are off when your player's got to try and dig that one out on the run, and Cerundolo goes wide with the forehand. Again, quite an important game this in the grand scheme of things, because if he can see this out, from here, 40-30, he's not got himself into a battle, he's consolidated the break, he's 4-1 up, and it seems like a long way back from Cerundolo at that point. Is that out? It's in. The players are still rallying. The return from Cerundolo must have just caught the line. So the players are now backhand to backhand. Cerundolo runs around the ball and goes forehand this time. He's back on the backhand by Carlos. Cerundolo goes down the forehand down the line. It's Carlos on the charge. It's Carlos playing the defensive tennis at the moment. Forehand this one down the line by Carlos. He tries to change the game a little bit. He goes for the drop shot this time. Cerundolo's not read it. What a shot, Carlos Alcaraz. he gets the adulation of the Monte Carlo crowd. That is why they paid their money for the ticket. It was that drop shot again, the one that we all love, Brenner. What a shot.
That's just incredible. Movement, ability, variety, and then it's just to be able killer to do shot.
It's just to be able to do that at such pace. Like the ball's coming in at such pace. Just
that's exactly what I was going to mention too. It's the Cerundolo ball is so heavy. And it's not easy to handle. Like, yes, I get against other opponents, he does it so well, but it's just making it look like
he's went for it again.
And there it is again. It's like
went for it again. Carlos Alcaraz, just keep doing that, pal. Just keep. Not that I need to give the 4-time Grand Slam winner any kind of advice in his tennis, but just keep doing that, pal, and you'll go far. Is that something? Would you think, Brenner, that it is harder to do in a hard court? The ball will bounce up a little bit more. But is that something you'd maybe want to see from him a little bit more on the hard surface?
Yeah, I mean, anything to make him feel more comfortable, less rushed. I think that's like the biggest thing for him is he just feels rushed. He doesn't have the time on the ball that he's used to having on a clay surface. But then you think about grass and like he feels so comfortable there. He's able to shape his shots and whatnot. So I don't know. I think we're talking about, arguably one of the most talented, players we've ever seen. So I'm not going to be like, he's never going to figure it out. I think he'll figure it out. But yeah, I mean, just continue to play with as much variety as you could. I mean, that's when I talk about the Rotterdam track. It was just slow enough where he had that time. He had kind of more opportunities to use that variety and to his advantage, at least. So
yeah. I like that. I don't know. I've got a soft spot for that Rotterdam tournament now. It's not because I've ever been or anything. I don't know. I think when I kind of started saying that I wanted to get into the kind of tennis landscape of journalism, and I started focusing in. But this was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. It was maybe the Rotterdam. I remember Andy Murray playing in that, and just kind of it was like I love this sport. This sport's great. Do you know what I mean? So
I'm totally with you. I think that's a beautiful, indoor tournament. That's my next stop. I've seen all the surfaces besides indoor hard. So
okay, wow, cool.
Yeah.
So is that you've been at Wimbledon then?
No. So I've
Newport?
been to Newport. Yes,
Yeah,
Newport,
yeah.
Rhode Island. I went the last 2 summers.
Is that a good setup? Good event?
I mean, of course. I mean, you're in kind of the tennis royalty. It's never the best draw. I mean, obviously, I'm speaking. I've been to the last 2 years because they had it in a tough week. It's the week. It's post Wimbledon. So who wants to stay on the grass and keep chipping away. So it's definitely a
was it Mickelson
draw.
made an impact there last year? Was it?
Yeah. So it's been Mickelson making an impact the last 2 years. He's been to the final, lost to Manarino 2 years ago, and then lost to Garon this past summer. But now I'm not sure if you're familiar. They, as Damien say, they upgraded it to a challenger, and the women are also joining. So
amazing.
It'll be totally different environment, atmosphere, but definitely something to look forward to. And obviously, just being kind of in that atmosphere environment, tennis royalty, it's definitely a special place.
Well, nice one. I mean, that's going to be on the bucket list then for myself. And I don't know if Ghost is trying to dare you here, but do you want to try and explain that, or will we skip over that?
Yeah. Ghost will continue to poke and ask me things, and sometimes I'll answer.
So there you go, Brenner. John's saying he'll get you the accreditation to do media at Newport.
Thank you, John. I appreciate it. I look forward to it. I mean, it's just something. It's something special, having to be at the Hall of Fame, and
so Clay Court Rome,
Newport Grass, U.S. Open.
Oh, nice.
I went this past year, and then I was just at the Miami Open.
Brilliant. So
and
tell me about it.
I'll also add that I saw an ITF 75K for the women's on green clay in Florida in January in Vero Beach. So as Carlos Alcaraz is roaring.
5-1, absolutely played his best tournament or best period of the match. He's just as before he couldn't find the court, and now he can't miss the court. He lets out a big roar to lead 5-1. He'll be serving for the match here. As we said, it's been a rapid fast match. We're at the end of set 3 in just an hour and 28 minutes. But yeah, tell me about Miami, because I'm interested, because it always comes in for a bit of criticism because of the way that it's set up and, bringing in the stadium and pretty much artificially creating this tennis court. Is it any good?
So I'm with you on that, because look, I'm not a fan of the artificial center court. It's weirdly shaped, you don't get that full kind of atmosphere. I was there for Fonseca de Menor. That was kind of one of my favorite environments I've been in. I've been lucky to go.
Because the Brazilians, is that the one where upset the Jack Draper match because they changed?
That was the second round. He was supposed to go on grandstand. That's kind of they have 2 stadiums, Buckles and Grandstand. They're smaller, of course.
Yeah.
But he was supposed to be on Grandstand versus Humbert after Draper and Mensick, and about I think it was middle of the match. There was so many people, they had set up barriers and whatnot. So it was.
This guy's going to be an absolute superstar because of that South American and the Brazilian backing, isn't it?
Insane. Yeah. What I will say about Miami, it's cool because I think as we try and grow our sport, I think that's kind of my favorite part about getting into the sport is trying to spread my passion and bring, not only my friends, family, but, being able to come on here and share my thoughts and passion for the sport is Miami, there's so many reasons why you would want to go to this tournament, because you can be kind of a non-tennis fan and have plenty to do there. And
Right.
obviously, you're in Miami. I would say it's kind of like, it's like a fashion show in a sense. Everyone has, all their different cultures, and they bring that to, the grounds, which is fun to see. There's music. It's very happening. But anytime, I've been lucky, obviously, with the events I've been to, having the opportunity to see, a tournament that hosts both the men and the women at the same time. That's special, because, that brings out a totally different kind of crowd and atmosphere. But, there's no shortage of Latin American culture and passion down there. So, I'd highlight a few matches being, Alejandro Tobio versus Monte. You can imagine how crazy that can get, with the Chileans and obviously the Brazilians going crazy.
I always remember the Uno Momento against Nico Jari.
Yes.
And he's playing up to the crowd. That's when I started to actually like Corentin Muti. Just to interrupt very quickly, we're on a second serve, 2 match points on Carlos Alcaraz. He's playing pretty much lights out tennis. Everything that Cerundolo throws at him, Carlos is finding a way to make the winner. I think he didn't. Must have been very close. He wrong-footed Cerundolo. And oh my God, how can that be out? Oh my God, he's a millimetre from winning the match with that one. So Cerundolo survives the first match point. But this has been some turnaround. If he gets this point, we're looking at the last 2 sets. He's won 12 out of the 13 games.
Yeah, I was kind of joking when I said 6-0, 6-1, but here we are.
I wonder if there's anything that's happened to Cerundolo, and fitness-wise, I don't know. But it just seems like even Carlos Alcaraz's biggest fan wouldn't have called that he was going to turn this match around in the way he did it at the end of that first set. And would you put it down to it's been all Carlos, or has it been a mix of Carlos's level going up and Cerundolo's? Oh my word! I can't believe what I've just watched.
It was such a good inside out backhand. Like, you typically take the backhand on the rise cross court and follow it in, but he was like, you know what, I'm gonna try and mix it up. And Fran just stuck a racket out, but yeah, it's a bad miss.
Just to who maybe aren't watching the match. While we were talking there, I was watching the point. Carlos has absolutely set up this point. I was about to go, and Carlos wins the match because Cerundolo's just put a lobbed defensive backhand into the court. Carlos has got the whole court to choose from the middle of the pretty much the service box, and he just hit the net with it. And Cerundolo had actually given up the point. How bad that was. So, are we seeing a turning point here? Will this? I'm not. Well, no, because Cerundolo's just put a fairly routine forehand well long to the back of the court. I think that might even have hit the backboard as opposed to the court. So Carlos has chance number 3. Sorry to interrupt there, but that was pretty much unreal what happened there.
Yeah, that was insane. Talk us through this match point. Third one here, Tom.
Okay, so Carlos is going for the drop shot on it. Cerundolo, legs left, he gets to it, but it hits the net. Carlos Alcaraz has overcome losing it. He's won his first match ever at the Monte Carlo Masters after only the second time of asking, to be fair. He played in 2022. Now 2025, he lets out a big roar to the crowd. That one meant a lot, and he can hopefully build from here. Potentially his trickiest tie off the running. I think he meets Jack Draper in the quarters, is it, or the semis? Of course, beating him in Indian Wells. But this is Carlos Alcaraz on clay, of course, the French Open champion. He overcomes Francisco Cerundolo 3-6, 6-love, 6-1. Final thoughts on that one, Brenner?
Yeah, you were asking me, what was kind of the difference, and I think it's just, once again, we talk about coming up against top players, and you have to just hold a level of consistency to even hang with them, and then, beat them. You probably needed to be a little bit more of an off day, and Carlos, had very, very small patches of poor play, and he came out today and took it upon himself to impose his game and be confident, and it was fun to watch. Definitely the drop shot is back. So as an Alcaraz as any Alcaraz fan, you're excited to, see the variety he brings to the court, and the movement was spectacular. And, I think Cerundolo kind of knew mentally that this was going to be too tough of a hill to climb. And hey.
Yeah, absolutely. So Carlos Alcaraz moves on to round 3, where he'll face Daniel Altmaier, who beat Richard Gasquet earlier on in the day. We're going to quickly, as John said, we're going to quickly preview a match for tomorrow. Well, thanks for putting us on the spot there, John.
Let's pick a match. Let's pick a match, Tom.
Let's do it.
Let's
Right,
see.
tomorrow, what's happening? Okay.
Oh, there's probably one that we should do. I mean,
the Berrettini Musetti?
Yeah,
I was thinking the same.
One.
Yeah, let's do that one. So I'll tell you why we're going to do that one, because you had, earmarked Musetti as a potential winner of the event, and you just thought he had all the attributes, and he overcame being one set down earlier today, and came through that one. So sell me Musetti, and I'll try and counter it with a bit of Berrettini.
Beautiful. We'll looking at their head-to-head 1-1. Their first match in Naples, which is no longer a tournament on the ATP tour. So I didn't even know that's exciting, because I was not familiar. And then obviously you have Berrettini, the clear edge on grass. Maybe not so clear, because Musetti is such a well-rounded player, and his game can suit all surfaces. But yeah, I just think Musetti with time on the ball, the ability to shape these balls and create angles. I think that'll be important in this match, because for Berrettini, he does like to go so heavy on that forehand, and that's his biggest weapon. So you kind of have no choice. But can Musetti put Berrettini in positions where he's a little bit more uncomfortable, and maybe outside the court, in terms of being in those doubles alleys, and having to play either a little bit more of a defensive shot, or is he tempted to go a little bit too big in places where he's not supposed to? Obviously you have to look at Musetti's last 2 matches, having dropped the first set in both of those matches and almost being out of it when he played Boo. But talk about that resilience, that trust in himself, especially here in Monte Carlo, being very comfortable with, the surface conditions that suit him quite well. I think, he has that ability and variety to make it difficult for Berrettini, and try and kind of pick on that backhand in a sense. But I will say another point for me in terms of Musetti is his ability to pick up the slice quite comfortably. We know Berrettini is, happy to protect his backhand with many defensive slices and neutralizing any sort of rally. But Musetti is quite comfortable doing the same in terms of playing defensively with slices, or even offensively in that sense. But, picking up the ball, generating pace from a slice with his forehand is also very impressive. So, I think angles and opportunity and ability here.
I'll just wrap it up very quickly. So Musetti, yes, I totally agree. Has the guile, has the touch around the tennis court. I'm going to go for Berrettini. I mean, it's a battle of 2 very handsome boys. But Berrettini will have the power. I think his serve, if he can get that firing, I think that can win him a good few points. 3 points as opposed to Musetti doesn't really have that as much. And I've just been interrupted by my 2.5-year-old boy. So I will wrap it up there. But listen, thanks very much, Brent. It's been a pleasure to do this stream with you, and I'm hopefully going to do another one in the next couple of days. So if it's with you, it would be my pleasure, mate. Okay.
Great to meet you, Tom. Likewise, it was a pleasure, and look forward to seeing you soon.
See you later. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.
Ready? Play.
With Team Gasquet, potentially, Rafa, and we don't know how many more years Novak will be on tour, is there a player that you really want to play
before they finish?
Yeah, sure. Novak Djokovic.
You want to Is there a player that you really want to play before they finish?
Yeah, sure. Novak Djokovic.
Before they finish?
Yeah, sure. Novak Djokovic. Yeah, sure. Novak Djokovic.
You want to play?
Ready? Play.
Okay, so Joe, not a very bad start for your first grass court match. How do you feel on the grass?
Well, feeling good. I arrived on Thursday, so I had a bit of practice here, and the type that I play a bit more aggressively, it goes good. I mean, I go aggressively, and the game on grass is very quick. The points are very quick, so I like playing on grass. It's my third time, but first on pro.
Yeah.
So feeling so good and winning with ex-top 20 guy, Carlo. Well, it means a lot for the first round. And,
Yeah, he's obviously a very good player on grass as well. How does this give you confidence going into the summer?
For sure, yes. It was a good match, and I'm practicing a lot of my serve. So today was a good opportunity to close the doors my serve. So yeah, it gives me more confidence to go through this week.
And where are you thinking of playing this summer? Are you going to stay in Europe, in Germany on the grass, or?
I'll play here, Nottingham and New Clay, and then if I go into Wimbledon, I'll play Wimbledon, and let's see.
Have you thought about playing Wimbledon? Is that something that you used to watch on TV, or?
It's my favorite Grand Slam, my favorite tournament. It's a dream if I play, but let's see.
Yeah. And you started the year 700 in the Worlds. You're now kind of knocking on the door at 200. Is that surprising you that it's happened at this age, at 17, or not surprising?
Yeah, I talk a lot of that in the interviews that I say. It's very surprising because I'm like breaking the expectations of myself, not others people. But I'm very happy to the way that I'm playing, and the way that I'm improving. And I know I'm still in the process. I can go further and further, but that's keep the process humble and calm.
Yeah, it's key to stay humble, and I know it's quite hard to set objectives, but do you have any objectives for the summer or for the rest of the year?
I would say play a Grand Slam this year. I'm trying. I almost hit in Roland Garros. Let's see if I get into Wimbledon and maybe US Open. So maybe these are the objectives.
And are you watching the French Open at the moment?
For sure, yes.
Who do you think is going to win?
It's difficult. It's open. I think maybe Sinner. I'm cheering for him. I like.
And when you're watching kind of the top guys, like these guys playing in Grand Slam semi-finals and so what, does this give you inspiration, and does it make you want to be there one day as well?
For sure. Watching Carlos and Sinner winning those Grand Slams so young, it gives me inspiration to go for it.
Thank you, Jean.